Man, you know what? These old cutscenes, like old Warhawk cutscenes and everything else, might be cheesy as hell, but I freaking love this. Okay, so quick thing. I kind of needed help with a little bit of a mystery with this recording thing here. So as you might potentially be able to tell here, well, I got the PSP setup working. For the most part, anyway. I hear like a weird echo on my end, but I'm hoping, that as far as I've tested, that's only on my end. Anyway, so here's the deal, though. Everything, for the most part, works pretty darn well. As it stands, picture seems pretty good. I've actually noticed that for a lot of things, the PSP actually does seem to emulate PS1 better than the Vita. I'm not entirely sure why. But at any rate, so here's the issue, though. PS1 games work fine. PSP games, for the most part, will work pretty darn fine as well. But we have an issue, because there is a particular game that happens to have been the kind of more or less core of this channel, and it does not really want to work for whatever reason. Now, that being said, there's only two games that I've run into that have a kind of common thread between them, that I have not been able to get working using this setup. So that's kind of what I was hoping to get some theories from people from here. Because, yeah, this stuff works just fine. Just to kind of show, I'm going to go ahead and go over a few other games here. Bear in mind, RemoteJoyLite, that's this software here, it will crash a couple of times. Basically, every time you kind of go back and forth between different games, it has about a 50-50 shot of just kind of crashing and relaunching, which is fine. Like, that sounds annoying, but overall, yeah, it's actually a lot better than it was with the Vita setup. Yeah, kind of mentally justifying, kind of switching over to this. But anyway, point being, yeah, overall, like, convenience and consistency-wise, I feel like this is by far the better approach now. And not to mention, I absolutely love being able to use original hardware for this, because, if I'm at work, stuck at a drive-thru or whatever else for an hour, then I can suddenly go get another, episode for Tactics Ogre going. I can go get some stuff set up, or do an episode of Suboptimal, or whatever else. Just kind of doing all this stuff in time that is not technically off time. Alright, so, just to show, everything is working pretty much as intended here. Alright? All well and good. What do you think of it? Is this even one of my files, or is this one of Kelt's? This kind of looks like one of... I don't know, I think this was one of the community files or whatever else. Any darn ways. I'm just showing this because before, I believe this is the one that I actually showed for kind of like having some lag and whatever else. Kind of another nice thing is that for all this stuff, I can kind of say, like, hey, look, it's off original hardware, all that kind of thing. Basically, once it's overclocked, it's pretty much standard speed on everything, so kind of give more of an original experience as far as that goes. And, oh, shoot, I forgot. He had the original PS2 control set up on this one, so I'm not firing the howitzer with the down... jeez. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, whoever's file this is, I have no idea how you can stand having your buttons like this. Just no. Anyway, so version 20A of RemoteJoyLite, perfect. No lag for the most part. Like, once it's overclocked, it's basically the same as a standard PSP. Now, here's the strange part, though. Because 19A and I believe it was 19F, I was able to get Tactics Ogre running, but it would crash at a very particular point. Now, I would launch One Vision because it's closer to the top of my list, and bear in mind I have tested this with the Japanese version too. This is consistent across all versions of Tactics Ogre. Well, say for the PS1 version, but that's kind of for obvious reasons. But okay, here's the thing. It'll launch. Like, it'll reinitialize any second now. There we go. So, it launches to Square Enix, gets the basic Escape logo, and can we get some copyright? No. No, we can't. Because there's nothing here. Now, I can still exit. Basically, in version 19, if you get to a loading screen or the main menu, it just hard locks, the PSP crashes, that's it. Basically, if you skip those parts, if you turn it off entirely, you can just get to that part. So, that's what we're going to do right here to show you that it doesn't work. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug this, but the audio is still coming through. I have to say, this is probably the dumbest looking audio setup I've ever done. It is literally, like, for some reason it kept identifying itself as a speaker, so what I did was I tried to attach an adapter to it. You'd think that'd be all well and good. The adapter was still identifying it as a speaker. So just out of curiosity, I had two different splitters. So I have a microphone splitting into a microphone, splitting into a microphone, splitting into a headphone jack thing going into the PSP. For some reason, this works just fine. No idea why, but, you know, there it is. So, okay. Now you can hear the music starting. We can do whatever, load whatever file. Now, you see on the top right how it says waiting, or sometimes it says disp off. So I plug it in, that disappears. It thinks there's a signal, but there's nothing. This, like I said, it's this and one other game that seems to have this issue. It's not that the screen's off. I can still quit out of it, and it'll still be just fine. It hasn't crashed. It hasn't soft-locked any of that. So, here's the thing. The other game is its sister game, Final Fantasy Tactics, specifically the War of the Lions version, for whatever reason has the same issue. Now, I'm hoping somebody has some kind of background knowledge to explain what on earth they did to specifically make these two games not launch, because pretty much everything else seems to work without any issues whatsoever. Actually, it's funny, the first time I tried doing this, I was trying to show it with Twisted Metal head-on, and somehow managed to one-shot Tower Tooth in some manner I completely don't understand. I don't know what happened there. If I felt like editing it, you know, I probably should just make that its own video. I have no idea what happened there. It was just funny. Anyways, so, as you can see, nothing. Like, I can still quit, but just nothing. It doesn't feel like doing anything. I can mash whatever buttons I want, nothing. So, similar test. Let's see if we can skip past that part and maybe get into some gameplay or whatever else. Maybe it'll launch somewhere else. I mean, I will say that version 19 method, wherein I would just skip certain parts and anytime loading screen came up, I would just turn it off. You'd think that that would be an optimal way to do it, but it just got incredibly annoying. Like, the kinds of stuff that would make it crash were really just irritating. So, I have a few theories on what could be doing this. There is a transfer type option that is taken out in 20A. It's locked at transfer type 1. I believe the previous ones were locked at transfer type 0, but I have no guarantee for that. It's just a theory at this point. I haven't really been able to find anything to back that up in particular. So, okay, you can hear the music. We're already getting to the menus. And we plug it in. Nothing. I can still go through menus. Nothing is locking up there. Nothing. Right? Funnily enough, the only game that's actually given me an issue on the PS1 side is nothing to do with RemoteJoy, and in fact, I can probably just launch it right here. But that was XCOM. It's a very strange one to get running on a PSP for some reason, which is funny because if you emulate a PSP on a Vita, pretty much no matter what, they will still launch. It doesn't seem to have an issue, but you have Terror from the Deep that requires being launched. Well, kind of by default, but then if you do Enemy Unknown, or just UFO Defense, I think, for that one, unless you're in Europe or something. Anyway, if you do that one, it ends up launching a little bit differently, where it has to be version 4.06 POPs, I think, something like that, like 4.05, 4.06, one of those. But it'll still work. I mean, I prefer Terror from the Deep, to be honest. It's just more vibrant. But, yeah, you gotta love these old-timey things like, oh, if you touch it with the piracy, we're gonna go broke. They went broke for completely different reasons. It was nothing to do with piracy. But, oh well. And then the series came back, and it was great and dandy and whatever else, and I don't know, there's just something that feels beautifully just jank but lovable. There's just something very cursed about, like, a PSP playing a PS1 game, playing a PC game, emulating off onto a laptop that could play it 1,000 times better. But I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah, the funny part is, this is probably like the laggiest possible way to play Terror from the Deep, but it's still my favorite. You know why? Because everyone is forced, more or less, to do a Iron Man run of this thing. Like, both of the XCOMs on the PS1, like, if somebody got through that, you know they figured the game out. Because you only have one save file, and it's not just one save file per campaign, it's just one save file total. So yeah, there's that. I mean, technically, if you put a second card into the second slot, you can have 2 save files. So I hope you like paying like $14 extra at the time for another save file. But either way, you know, it's not the fastest version. It's not the best looking version. It is by far the most... Well, okay, it's the second most portable version. You can't technically get OpenXCOM running on a phone. We're getting very far away from the original point of this here. Now, you might be asking yourself, you know, why even do it like this? Like, this seems like a big old headache. Could just go ahead and get composite cables and whatever else. And, you know, well, not composite. I should get component cables, which, yeah, realistically, probably should. Funnily enough, I actually had component cables a while ago, and then I just sort of gave them away. I'm like, yeah, there's no reason I'll ever have to use this. So, you know, feeling a little dumb these days, but either way, they're not exactly the most expensive thing in the world, so technically speaking, there is a way to overcome all of this at a fairly modest price considering, you know, everything. But I'd kind of prefer to use this particular setup. It's a lot simpler, and just, you know, it kind of feels nice just using, getting the setup working using only what I had on hand. So yeah, current theories, there's the transfer type method. There's really no way to change that. Some folks have mentioned that potentially there's some kind of glitch in the SE plugins. Now, I've looked over the thing. I can't think of anything in there that might potentially cause an issue like this. And actually, probably one more thing I should probably show here real quick. Okay, so this is primarily to address one little mention that somebody had a little while ago over a theory that maybe it was due to, like, perhaps those games are emulating some kind of engine that maybe just doesn't work with this thing or whatever else. Like, it's just like layers of software going on top of each other, and as we can take a look right here, that's not exactly it either. You can, like, run emulators with this just fine. You can even do the N64 one, but admittedly N64 on a PSP is pretty jank. Like, it does not look great. It does not look, sound, or anything else great. So at any rate, yeah, if anyone has any ideas whatsoever, any ideas, like, even if it sounds stupid, I don't care. Like, just anything at all would be greatly appreciated at this point, because I have no other ideas. I've been going through this thing for weeks. I finally got the audio working, so that's nice. But I have no other ideas on what to potentially do to fix this current, current jank here. So, you know, feel free to spout your theories. Like I said, you don't even have to be experienced in PSP modding or whatever else. Like, just based on what you've seen, is there something about Tactics Ogre and FFT that you can think of that is tied together that could potentially cause an issue for just those two? Because, like I said, it worked perfectly on previous versions. I don't think it's anything to do with the engine not working. On previous versions of RemoteJoy, it was able to work just fine as long as it wasn't on a loading screen or on a either a loading screen or the main menu. Actually, I think specifically the multiplayer menu either, but there were other issues with those particular versions, which again is why I'm not using those. So if you have any other ideas on what could be happening at that particular point, I've gone ahead and I've asked a few of the folks that actually mod both games, see if they have any particular theories in mind, see if anybody potentially has some insider knowledge that I'm not aware of. I've tried reaching out to the PSP community. So far, yeah, no theories aside from maybe the plugins are glitched, which I tried replacing the plugins, and I haven't really noticed anything different. But yeah, it would be absolutely incredible to get this working, because it's frustrating me to absolutely no end that, like, literally every other possible thing I cover on this channel works except for the main thing. Like, it's so oddly specific, it pisses me off. Anyway, So I think I've tried to end the video enough times. You get the general idea. Everything seems to run pretty darn well. The emulation on it works fantastic. Actually, I have to say the original, like, GBSP or whatever the hell this is, on the PSP, probably one of the better GBA emulators out there. All of the stuff feels like original. I actually compared original hardware next to this, and it was pretty much one-to-one. I didn't notice any... Like, it's weird that the Vita version was running through RetroArch was more laggy than this one. No idea how that works. So, please help. Thank you. Have a great day.